Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot, and welcome to a reading about kind of what's happening in the way of communication. So, are you expecting for that to ramp up? Are you expecting for it to kind of shut down? What exactly can you be expecting in the way of communication? And so, this is going to be a general reading for this collective, but it is going to be a pick a pile reading. So, when we say pick a pile, it isn't so much just random picking the one that you feel more drawn to. It is a matter of we're going to split up this collective into two groups. And in this case, it's going to be those who are in contact with their person versus those who are not in contact with their person. So I'll do the same reading twice. We'll ask the same questions, and you can watch either reading if it seems appropriate, or if you would like, if you feel like you're in the gray area, you can always watch both readings. So we'll go ahead and get started. So like I said, this is going to be a general reading for this collective. And so if it resonates with you, you may want to go ahead and subscribe. You may want to go ahead and see if there are any other messages out there that would resonate with you also, in the other videos, because they're all very much connected to one another. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I think I'll reserve that deck for those who are in contact. We're going to do the no contact people first. This will be the clarifying deck, and we're going to start here by looking at the energy that's kind of flowing between the two of you right now. This is energetic and emotional backdrop. This is the energy that flows between the two of you at this time. So we have the Queen of Pentacles to start. Queen of Pentacles. And so the Queen of Pentacles is kind of feels like it's being challenged at this time. We've got a couple of other cards that have come out as well. Let me see what it was that fell down on the ground there. And we have one card that fell face down. So let's see, we have the Death card with signifying some change going on here. Queen of Pentacles, that is also got a sense of stability to it. Now with the Moon, a sense of mystery, not being sure of which path to take forward. But with the Seven of Pentacles, this is really kind of, it's a perception, or it's a concern about not having invested in yourself in a way that you needed to invest in yourself. So this is energy that is shared between the two of you. But it's something that it feels like it matters now for some reason. So you've got this Ace of Wands, something that seems like it wants to rise up and get in the way of what you're doing. It wants to rise up and get in the way of your success. You have the Five of Wands here. All you have to do is roll with it. There's something that's going to kind of rise up and look like it's a challenge. And I wish I could give this advice to both of you, because you could encounter this in separate situations, but something's going to rise up and look like a challenge, and you just kind of have to roll with it, and it's going to turn out to be fine. What you have to make sure that you do is avoid self-destructive behaviors. Avoid things that seem like sudden self-destructive behaviors. You are going to have some very difficult choices coming your way. We've seen that a lot of that in the last few readings. So with the Judgment card, though, this is a little bit more about that awareness that you have, a little bit more of an awareness that you have, and that ability that we've been seeing coming through for you to make decisions with a little bit less information. So with the Queen of Swords here, this is not a need to make a rash decision in any particular direction. But it is, with the Judgment card in the upright, the ability to kind of see yourself a little bit more clearly, see your actions a little bit more clearly. It's about, we talk about knowing why it is that you're doing what you're doing, understand the reasons for what you're doing. This says that you're seeing that a little bit more clearly, and I would add whether you like it or not. So the thing is, it's happening for both of you. I would also point that out. So we have the Empress here. This is wonderful news. So the Empress has well-rounded feminine energy. And so this is actually showing up as fairly well-rounded in both of you. So as you know, every individual has masculine and feminine energy, and that needs to be balanced. Both of those need to be balanced within the person. Both of those need to be balanced across the relationship. And so this does not say there's balance across the relationship necessarily, despite the fact that it's coming out in your shared energy. What I'm getting here is that it's more coming out as balanced within your individual energies, which is that first major step to being able to um, come a little bit closer together in this way. Okay, let's see here. I feel like, okay, so the Page of Wands, and we just want that one, and there's another one here. Page of Pentacles, and we just want that one. Okay, Page of Pentacles is in the upright about learning lessons. Page of Wands is in the reverse about not having a lot of get up and go. Not having a lot of a desire to move forward quickly, or a desire to, it's not feeling that fast forward movement sort of energy. It's more just kind of saying, you know what, I know I'm supposed to, let's say, go back to work and get really into it and hit the ground running, but I kind of just don't feel like it. It's that sort of energy. Not saying that that's even true of you. You may be completely ready to go back, hit the ground running, be ready for what's coming for you, etc. But with this, it's kind of a sense of you're going to have this experience of potentially not feeling like you're dragging a little bit, feeling like you don't necessarily want to move forward quickly. Um, Let's see what's happening in the way of communication. So this is kind of just the energy that's happening in the background for you guys. And it's going to be impacting you from an emotional standpoint. But let's see what's happening in communication. And so these are for those of you who are in no contact. So it's about, should you be expecting communication? If so, what kind of communication? What do we have here? It looks like something got turned over here. But it's interesting. So the Judgment card in the reverse here, there's something that you're see it's okay, so it's in the reverse, but it's not necessarily not passing judgment. Um I'll be curious to see what comes out with that, because all I can definitely see or say at this point is that it's in reverse, but it's definitely not, or it's not passing judgment. It feels like there is maybe some judgment that still, something is still missing. Some element of this is still missing. Something still can't be seen, can't be accessed, can't be measured or evaluated. There's still some information, like you're making decisions with way less information, but there's something missing here that is absolutely crucial. So let's see what of all these cards that kind of shot out here. All right, so we have the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands says that you get into there's this sense of, like, you guys get into this eddying energy where you feel like you have to make a communication, or there's something that makes it seem like not only does it have to happen, but it has to happen quickly. And so this is why you may see, if you see communication coming in, and we saw this earlier, that at some point you were likely to see some kind of communication. And it's almost some kind of like apologetic, moving toward balanced communication. But the thing that, I don't feel like we have enough information to say when that's going to happen, or, what that's going to really be about. But with this, I don't know. There's this feeling of like a sudden urge or a sudden desire to make communication. With the Knight of Wands, it's still that in and out sort of energy, but it is incredibly passionate on the in. With the Hierophant in the reverse, this is like going against orders or recommendations, or they were told not to contact you, not necessarily by like a third party, but by a friend, a well-meaning friend who said, listen, this is going to lead to a situation that you don't want to deal with, or this is going to be a ride you will not survive. I mean, it's difficult to say what this conversation, but it seems like they went against it, or they go against it in this energy. And so you may have a communication coming your way. We know that at some point you do. I also have noticed this tendency for the energy to build up to provide a communication or to lead to a communication, but that's not always what happens. Sometimes what happens is they find some way to kind of puncture the balloon and allow some of that energy to go out, or they find a way to just sort of take the pressure off a little bit by saying something quick to you, or it's, I don't know, it's like they find a way to let the pressure off rather than sometimes coming into a vulnerable and complete communication with you. And I feel like that's kind of what we see with this Knight of Wands energy. Yes, it comes in quite passionately, but it also can get back out as quickly as it gets in. So we have the Four of Swords. They are, okay, this is consistent with what we've been seeing. Their energy is more healed than it has been in the past. Their energy with this Four of Swords is more healed than what it has been in the past. Like we've seen, it's consistent with the rest of what we've seen. They have done a lot of learning. They've done a lot of improving. You have helped them through this Ten of Swords in the reverse. You have helped them through some of the work around that ancient pain. Now, we know that despite the fact that they've got these great cards of healing here, that there's still some more to be done. But this, if you hear communication from them, you're actually going to potentially be able to see signs of that healing. You'll be able to see it and identify it. You may see they're coming into themselves. They're coming into their own. There's kind of this feeling of that, but you're also going to notice that situation, how they kind of get back out of the conversation fairly quickly and have a tendency not to commit to it, not to get very vulnerable, not to get in there too deeply. And then all of a sudden, the rhythm of the conversation is gone and you find that they kind of are missing. So there's this feeling of just kind of reaching in, having a brief communication or touch point with you, and then kind of darting back out again. Now we have the Nine of Pentacles. This is about how they are utilizing some of your energy. And again, I want to be clear, this is not utilizing energy that you would otherwise be using. This is utilizing the energy that comes of the union between the two of you. You also have the Three of Cups here. So this is all about that energy that kind of situations that cause them to, or you cause either of you to use energy that goes in a different direction. So when we look at what's happening in the way of communication, it looks like something is going to impact this communication. Now, we already know they're kind of going against a recommendation or against a directive, but we also can see that they aren't really in a position to fend it off. Okay, this is a person who is changing. They're going through some changes that are very long, like they've been happening or they've been trying to happen for a very long time. With this Ten of Swords, this is that ancient pain. They may have come into this life being raised up a certain way, in a way that they now question the values associated with that. They want to move toward their happiness. They want to have the ability to have communication. And I know we also want this Ace of Swords. The problem with this, and I wish we wanted this Six of Swords, because I think that's what's missing from this Ace of Swords sort of energy. The Ace of Swords in the reverse is about not being truthful with oneself, not looking at the whole picture. So it isn't so much that they aren't being truthful with themselves. It's just that they're only looking at a convenient small portion of the picture. They're not looking at the big picture or thinking down the road. So with the sun, I do see them moving to what they consider to be, it sees them moving toward their happiness and making communication with you, but I do see them kind of bouncing back out of the situation as quickly as they come in. So, or what you may notice is if they're able to avoid it, because they've got that constant push to kind of make them not communicate, and they've gotten this momentum that has caused them to get better at keeping quiet. And so, you may feel that immense feeling of almost, you can tell their message has been written and they just have to hit send. And then you may also be able to feel it when they finally delete back that message out and set the phone down. But there is that moment where they begin to move very quickly. That Eight of Wands energy begins to kind of erupt. Now, their healing does come through in this communication if it does come out to you. I guess I'm curious to understand what the rest of that is about. So there may be communication coming to you, but when we get into the extended, let's look at what the meaning of that would be, because it looks like it's quick in, quick out, but the intention of it does not necessarily look like that same, sometimes that Knight of Wands will come out like player energy. This isn't player energy. This is just it's hard to describe. That's what I want to get a little bit deeper into. Like, why is it like this? What is happening with this communication energy, and why does it feel like it does? Even if it's just feeling them put the message together and not feeling them, or not getting to the point of hitting send. Even if it's that, like, what is behind this? Because it's something that seems to be cycling over and over, and so trying to understand it a little bit better. So that's what we'll look into when we get into the extended. Link is down below as usual. Before we get into that, though, we're going to start, we're going to get into what needs to be your focus. So as we always look into, you're working on so many lessons, so many things that you're learning in this situation. This is a relationship of deep learning. And so here is, where you can be focused at this time. Okay, so the first thing that wants to come out is this Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands is about the burden of the messages, the burden of now knowing what it is that, knowing that you have a lesson to learn. The Five of Cups, knowing that you may be looking at it from a perspective that is less than ideal or kind of slanted. So basically, you might be looking at it from a perspective that causes you not to see the big picture. And this gets really challenging when all of a sudden you see it and you realize that maybe you've been looking at it differently than someone else, and you get why they see it differently. Not necessarily that one or both of you is wrong or right. It's just a matter of, it's very humbling. I guess I would call it very humbling. So you have the Eight of Swords also. Eight of Swords in the reverse. There's this, I guess, this feeling of being here to do what you've got to do, and maybe, not letting anything else really get in your way. A sense of duty almost, with your healing, a sense of duty to yourself, and understanding there's something that you have to kind of get past. Something that's rising up as a barrier or some sort of obstacle in your path, and it's not something you can't get over. It's just something that it's going to take a fair amount of your energy to get past it emotionally. There's a fear of looking foolish, and definitely a very real possibility of you not looking foolish but having a hard time getting past how you do look. So I also see that you may be being a little bit too hard on yourself in here. With the King of Wands, though, there's a feeling of being like very much observing, like it looks like you are in control of your situation and in a good situation. So when somebody looks at you from the outside, it looks like this is your passion. This is not so much your emotional side, but your passionate side. Here is your logical side, and both of them look like you are on top of the world and just have it all figured out. So keep in mind that you may be looking like that, even if you don't always feel like that, even if you're over here very concerned that you are looking foolish about something. Let's see. Yeah, I saw that Three of Wands in the reverse there. Didn't want to be part of the reading, but did want to come out as kind of an honorable mention, just to say that's another one of those perception cards where it's like you feel like you haven't done the prerequisites because you're not backing up and looking at the big picture and realizing, yes, you really have accomplished some pretty amazing things. So you've got the Tower card here in the reverse. Tower card in the reverse distinctly has that feeling of avoiding something that needs to be done, avoiding something that needs to be learned or needs to be dealt with. It seems like something that you have recently gone a couple of rounds with. And so it's happening again. It's coming up again for you to face it, for you to look at it, for you to kind of deal with it. And you may not really find yourself in a position to want to deal with it. So keep that in mind. It's kind of that feeling of like with the Page of Wands, we had the Page of Wands come out over here in the reverse for the overall energy. And it was kind of that feeling of not really wanting to get back into it, not really wanting to go back to work. This is almost like a fear of something not going well when you get there. Luckily, you've also got this Page of Pentacles that's kind of sitting there observing the entire thing, writing it all down, learning the lessons from it. Kind of has a very calculating, not calculating like manipulative, but like writing everything down and just being very careful about it. It kind of has that sort of energy to it. All right, so we've got the Seven of Pentacles. This is about having invested in yourself at the right time and in the right place. And especially because you have, you recently have come to a place where you've wrapped up a cycle or two, you have a little bit more like something to clean up. You have something that is wrapping up a cycle and cleaning it up and kind of just wrapping up the edges of something right now, but it also doesn't look like the end. It looks like it also puts you off into a new direction. But you seem, with this Tower card, with this Death card in the reverse, to be a little bit resistant to that. So I'm curious to understand what that is. We may look into that when we get into the extended as well, to see why you're so resistant to some of the change that looks like it's wanting to come your way, and some of what is happening here, because it seems like you have a good mind for it, but for some reason there's this attitude is off a click, and I'm curious to see if maybe we can find the words you need to hear that'll help put you on a more comfortable path. Definitely, we're also going to take a closer look at what's happening with the communication with this person, because here's a person who may or may not get all the way to hitting send, but you're going to get dragged through kind of the energetic experience of them putting together that description or that discussion. So that's going to be the end for this one, where you guys are not in contact. I'm going to go ahead and put the cards back together now, and we'll do the one for those of you who are in some form of contact. And I understand that there may be some gray area there. May not always be easy to understand which one makes the most sense for you. And for those of you who aren't sure, I would just say there's no harm in watching both piles. We know that you're in the same collective, and sometimes it's going to be a matter of just how you want to describe what's happening. It's not always, it's about how you want to define your terms as far as whether you're in contact or in no contact, that sort of thing. And so I would just say don't spend too much time worrying about whether what you're doing counts as contact or no contact. You can start watching the one that makes the most sense, and if it feels like it resonates, then great. If you aren't sure, feel free to try both of them. Like I said, there's no harm in that. I'll try not to make it too outrageously long so that if you do want to watch both of them, you have the opportunity to do so. So there we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do basically the same reading once again. So this is for the people who are in some form of contact, and this is going to be the energy between you, or that kind of energetic and emotional backdrop. We're looking at the combination of those energies at this time. What's happening for that cut of my folks who are in some form of contact? So we've got the Page of Swords in the reverse, that fear coming out front and center. So this feels like, well, I'll just see what happens. It's fear coming out. I'll just say that. Fear coming out, Nine of Cups. Oh, things have gotten real. Something has gotten real, and there's a sense of it not feeling like it was expected to, not feeling like they expected to have it feel. So that's somebody's been caught off guard here. Let's see. And then we also have the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is, again, it feels like that sense of balancing the charisma aspect and the integrity piece for the King of Cups. And so it's a matter of making sure that you're using your powers for good. This is really your person, but making sure that they're using that charisma for good. But they're a little bit shocked and off balance. They figured out something that makes them incredibly happy. They're a little bit awkward as they're moving toward it, but they're also very much being governed by fears, and it feels a little bit like there's kind of almost a loose cannon sort of feel to this energy. I'm curious to understand, because that's what I was having a hard time talking about before when I was first seeing this card come up. So we've got the Ace of Wands. This one is about moving forward toward things that are very passionate, but moving toward them very quickly. So this they have in common with the folks who are in no contact, is that there's this sense of like striking, this sense of something happening very quickly. And with the Ace of Wands here, it's a strong feeling of a very passionate movement forward very quickly, but not a healed one. So with the Page of Pentacles here, we've got the Page of Pentacles and we've got the Wheel of Fortune, and it makes me a little bit nervous. We also have the Queen of Swords, and I'm not sure which direction this goes, so I can explain that a little bit better. With the Page of Pentacles, like I was saying, this is an unhealed response. This Ace of Wands is an action that has some sort of damage control necessary, or some sort of damage control that is attached to it. It creates a significant change, which is what we see with this Wheel of Fortune. And this is a fairly significant change. It's not something that you can just brush under the rug. It's not something that you can just forget about. With this Queen of Swords, though, I'm not sure if this is a well thought out Queen of Swords where you guys are ready for this sort of thing and you're ready to make mature decisions, or if this is the sort of Queen of Swords where you know, like I said, there's already going to be a need for some form of damage control. And then with this, is this a rash decision or something that is a little bit more well thought out. And so that Page of Wands isn't part of it, but this Knight of Pentacles is. With the Knight of Pentacles, I get this sense that this is that saving grace that makes it more likely that this Queen of Swords is not just the Queen of Swords of making rash decisions, but it still feels a little bit uncomfortable for me. There's something here that feels like it's going to have to be fixed. You remember there was a conversation coming up, and it was for this group, I'm pretty sure. That was the in contact group, although we know that that can be a little bit fluid, but it was one of the in contact readings that I did a while back, maybe for the it talked about the upcoming conversation, so it was for the year, but it was in this case pretty near term. A conversation that was going to come up that was going to have significant ramifications. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that this is relevant to that somehow, this potential rash decision. There's going to be guidance to how to handle this available, but it may be a little bit overwhelming, may seem like things are a little bit suspicious. Like it may be difficult to navigate for your person in particular to navigate the decision or navigate the situation because it feels like too good to be true, or something seems like I have to be missing something, that sort of, it's more that, it's more the, I feel like I have to be missing something. This can't be the whole picture. That's what comes out here. And it's like, it slows them down to a point that they are almost paralyzed and unable to move forward. And so this impacts them in some kind of way that basically it takes their mojo away. Um, it's got something that you're going to have to work through from a timing perspective. With the Seven of Wands, it's more that feeling of confidence being taken away. It's more that feeling of not, remember when I was talking about it, and I say remember as if you've been here the whole time. And for sure some of you have, but recently when we talked about, and again, it was this group, it was the conversation that you were going to be having, and there was something that has to get worked out, okay? Something that is going to have some damage control associated with it. You're going to have to be able to talk it out or communicate it out. So we're going to look a little bit more into communication now, because I think we're looking at that conversation or something surrounding it at this point, because this is really that sense of something that needs better clarification. And so any clarification that you can give it during the course of the conversation will be good. But again, with the Seven of Wands in the reverse, with the Ten of Cups in the upright, what that feels like to me is that there will be some limited ability to really take that in. So still probably some misunderstanding that will need to be clarified after the fact. So let's take a little bit closer look at this communication, since this may be that conversation that we've been looking at. If you haven't had it already, or you know what, doesn't matter. If you have this, it still feels like it could be satellite to that, could be surrounding it. So you've got the Ten of Pentacles in the reverse, making decisions about a lifestyle and not feeling super confident about the decisions that are being made. Nine of Wands in the reverse. This is almost like, what it feels like is like giving up on a computer game, and deciding that you're just not going to worry about if you win or lose. Okay, I had a card fall, but it fell face down. Then we also have the Hermit in the reverse. Okay, so the Hermit in the reverse feels a little bit to me like decisions that still have to be made, wisdom that still needs to be found, and a recognition of not having done it and saying, I'm almost entering this battle of wits unarmed, and I knew this was coming, and I feel like I should have prepared better. I also don't get that they're unarmed. I get that they just feel like they should have prepared better, or they wish they knew better, or they somehow wish they were better prepared. This feeling of wrecking one's lifestyle and doing so because of almost a going for broke sort of attitude. I don't know what to make of that. I almost think that you may hear some things that, like I said, they have this need for like damage control afterwards, but I don't know that it's angry or anything like that. I just feel like, sometimes we get those divine masculine messages, and it's, things they wish that they didn't have to deal with the repercussions of. Like, there may be repercussions after some of this. So we've got Ace of Swords. Well, this is not being truthful with themselves, okay? This is not being truthful enough with themselves. So something there's still this sense of obscuring it, and yet there are certain things they are not obscuring from themselves. They know now what or who is going to make them happy, and it's not necessarily always just you can then go towards it. So yeah, something has to be broken. Something has to be broken in order to move to the place where you're going to be happy. The two of you would be happy, and they're not ready. They don't know how to move forward. That's really kind of what comes out of these cards. So with the Chariot card, it's an unwillingness to move forward despite knowing where that happiness lies, because something has to be broken. And so it's a matter of, I have to quit my job and I'm not prepared to do that. And yet they're over here making kind of flamboyant decisions already about their livelihood, about their life, possibly about their household situation. And the thing is, it's difficult to say if that's just flamboyant or if it's mistaken. It's because at this point they're still very concerned about breaking something and not wanting to go in some direction because they don't feel like they're ready to do it. And so when I see the Empress card come in as something that somebody doesn't feel like they're ready to do, I always kind of investigate a little bit, or kind of nudge along the edges and say, but are they ready? Are they more ready than they realize? And I don't know that they are. I think that this is somebody who rightly recognizes they're not ready to move forward toward their happiness for one reason or another. Let's see here. Okay, so we've got we've got the Six of Cups, which is a card of nostalgia. We've got the Knight of Cups, which is a card of, I get too far. Oh gosh, I can tell you what this is. This feels like when you get to a place where you start to say something and then realize that you wish you could take that back because you really shouldn't have said it. It's something that you aren't supposed to get out there. It's something like if you watched the Harry Potter movies, it's the several times that Hagrid said something and then afterwards says, oh, I shouldn't have said that. The Knight of Cups in this sense definitely feels like they get too far out there and then they shouldn't have said it. The Six of Cups feels like that sense of nostalgia, but the thing is, it's a harmonious sort of nostalgia that makes them really want to go back to a time when they feel like is gone. So remember, here's a person who, when we looked at what they really wanted, one of the things that these folks really want, these divine masculines really want, is to kind of restore something that feels like it's impossible for it to come back. And this is that sense of it being impossible for it to come back. Now with the Six of Cups, that they still kind of, we know that there's a lot of fantasy involved here. You may hear a little bit about that fantasy. You may also, though, that may be the thing that, when they go, gosh, I wish I hadn't said that, that Knight of Cups in the reverse feeling. But yeah, there's this sense of something that they wish they could get back to. They wish they could go back to. It's a lost opportunity, not a missed opportunity like I wish I had done this differently. Although there's definitely a sense of them wishing they had done things differently. And yet there's this feeling like you're just always going to be that connected with them. because and it's true. I don't disagree with them on this. The conversation that you have is very important, but like I said, it's also important for you to understand that there is something in here that kind of, I don't get that they are being able to articulate that they can't make a certain change, even to move toward what they know is their happiness. There's something here that would have to be broken. And because of that, because they're looking for the stability that their current situation holds, like I said, it's they don't want to have to quit that job. They don't want to have to lose everything. There's something they feel like they're going to lose if they break what they have to break. So it feels like it's relevant to that third party. So we often see that. Well, we have the Knight of Wands here again, making it seem like they come in, they get out, and it's not good enough. With the Seven of Pentacles, the timing is poor for the sort of in and out behavior that seems to result here. And the thing is, they don't even get away with it. Like I mean, when I say they don't even get away with it, I mean, they create even more damage. Part of this damage control, maybe the majority of this damage control, is something that takes place with the third party. So let's look into kind of, when we get into the extended, I think what we need to look into is impact of whatever this conversation or communication is, because it seems like it's getting, or it gets a little bit convoluted. So we'll look into that when we get into the extended. First, let's look at your area of focus. Your area of focus in all of this, especially given what's here on the table. You know, when we look at all the lessons that you have that you could be focused on right now, what is it that you need to hear today? Okay, so we've got the Empress. The Empress is, you know, it's just got this feeling of have a moment, take a few deep breaths, sit with yourself, take the time that you need to get to the sort of place that you need to get. I'm trying to figure out how best to kind of say that. I dropped a card, so I'm going to have to grab that. Now I've dropped a couple of them. And it's interesting because some of these cards have the glow to them. Some of them don't. And now I'm going to have to see what I dropped. They seemed really hard for me to keep control of today. But this is a particularly slippery deck. And when I get cranking like I have today, then I have a tendency to drop them. So nothing that has fallen face up here. But let's see what we do have here. So I'm going to hold them up so you can see them. We've got the Two of Swords. This is those decisions that you're looking to make that are probably imminent if you're not on top of them. King of Swords, which is your ability to make them. Let it flow. You're going to be really good at this for right now. Oh my goodness. Three of Pentacles, you're going to be able to like drive teams of horses at this point. It's like there's a lot, people are going to want to work with you on things. And then we have the Empress, which is that solid growth in the area of the feminine energy. Okay, so you know, like I was saying before, the Empress energy is it's the feminine side of the energy that you produce and that you have. So you'll have both masculine and feminine. They need to be in balance. This is riding high, but you've got to give yourself that time to go take those few breaths. Just 5 nice deep breaths ought to do it. And that'll put you even in a better place to do this logic. This is like, I feel like you're going to be required to do this logic puzzle kind of thing over here. Making decisions with fewer pieces of information. Two of Pentacles, there's going to be some balancing here. Again, I feel like you're going to have this type of energy to burn. So this is going to be something where you pass with flying colors. You're particularly good at this right now. With the Three of Swords, the one thing that I would say is that I feel like you may get a little bit emotionally and overwhelmed, emotionally overdrawn, emotionally pushing it a little bit too hard. With the Queen of Pentacles, just be sure that you don't allow yourself to be taken advantage of. Make sure that you don't fall into old patterns. That's kind of, this may be the biggest message coming out so far. Making sure that you continue to allow yourself to ride high. Don't allow yourself to fall into old patterns where you allow yourself to be taken advantage of. It's not worth it. You've got the Three of Wands in the reverse here, which is that card that feels like, it feels like you feel like there's some kind of prerequisites that you haven't satisfied. It's like you forgot you took these classes and it's all going to come back to you. But here's the thing, you have done the work. With the Hermit, what I feel like here is this is thoughtful, methodical energy, and you have done the work, but you've not gone to receive the diploma for whatever reason. Like there's something that you haven't given yourself credit for. You're still suffering in some situation that you don't need to be. This is ancient pain, doesn't have anything to do with your person. This is something that you need to let yourself out of, a pain that you need to let yourself out of, but you're not for some reason. We're going to have to look into this when we get into the extended. What is it that you need to get out of your own way here? There's something that you have to kind of get out of your own way. So we're going to look at that when we get into the extended. And then we're also, like I was saying, with your person's communication, kind of try to understand what the impact is and some of the other circumstances around this communication, because it looks like it's getting a little convoluted with the third party energy and everything with this, and trying to, with the lost opportunity and communication of that. And there might be, like I said, just a little too daring of a communication in here, too daring for them anyway. All right, so we'll go ahead and look more deeply into that when we get into the extended. Link is down below in the description below the video. I look forward to seeing you there. Otherwise, I will see you again in tomorrow's reading.